Sankirtan, Marathon. What does that mean? So this is a nice song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And later on also there's another nice bhajan going to be, but what's that? There's another one by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jeev Jago. I think Madhupati is going to sing that one. He was going to sing this one, but he thought it'd be too high for everyone, so let's see if I do any better. So we'll do the translation first, just so we get an idea what we're singing about. For those who don't speak Bengali, translation, please. I'm singing news of great happy tidings. Lord Nityananda himself has opened a marketplace of the holy name in Surabi Kunj. What's the word for marketplace of the holy name? Namahata, isn't it? I think you probably knew that. Lord Nityananda, proprietor of the market, seeing all the devotees become attracted, is selling them the holy name after bargaining with them. Sorry, did we do that? No. The news of its great results is that he is selling the pure holy name in that market place for the price of only one's faith. Lord Nityananda, proprietor of the market, seeing all the devotees become attracted, is selling them the holy name after bargaining with them. Oh, brother and sisters, if you want to buy the holy name, then go with me. We must go to the presence of that great soul, Nityananda. You will buy the name of Krishna, I will take my commission, and all of our desires will be fulfilled. Lord Nityananda is greatly merciful. Taking only one's faith, he gives the highest ecstasy. If Nitai sees only one's tears in the eyes while chanting the name Gaura, then he gives all resources to that person. He gives the pure teachings of Krishna to everyone and does not care for one's birth, wealth, knowledge, and strength. Now, giving up the illusory snare of Maya, either remain in household life or in the forest as a sannyasi, for no more troubles remain. There is no more fear in the age of Kali. The merciful Nityananda gives the holy name to even the Chandalas. Bhaktivinoda calls out, except for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no other shelter. So just before we start singing this, then I remember back in the 80s, we used to have a newspaper called ISKCON World Review. I think that's what it was called. Do you remember that, ISKCON World Review? And does anyone remember an article where devotees in West Bengal were going out preaching and they had discovered namahatas, or marketplaces of the holy name, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had set up about 100 years previous, and they were still going on. So this is the great potency of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And if we follow in his footsteps, then also the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya will also flow down. Boro sukher khabor gai, Boro sukher khabor gai, Boro sukher khabor gai, Boro sukher khabor gai. It's been a while. Surabe kunjete namahat kuleche, Surabe kunjete namahat kuleche, Kodanitai, Kodanitai, Boromoja katatai, Boromoja katatai, Boromoja katatai, Boromoja katatai. Swaramulya Shudanam Sehatete Bekai. Shradamulya Shudanam Sehatete Bekai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Chatabhakta Vrindabasi, Chatabhakta Vrindabasi. Chatabhakta Vrindabasi, Chatabhakta Vrindabasi. Adhikari deke nam bechedaro kasi. Adhikari deke nam bechedaro kasi. Kodanita, Kodanita. Jadinam kinbe bai, Jadinam kinbe bai. Jadinam kinbe bai, Jadinam kinbe bai. Amar Sanghe Chalo Mahajane Kache Jai. Amar Sanghe Chalo Mahajane Kache Jai. Kodanita, Kodanita. Tume can be Krishna Nam, Tume can be Krishna Nam. Tume can be Krishna Nam, Tume can be Krishna Nam. Dasturi Ebo Ame Puna Habekam. Dasturi Ebo Ame Puna Habekam. Kodanita, Kodanita. Borodoya Nityananda, Borodoya Nityananda. Borodoya Nityananda, Borodoya Nityananda. Shadamatra Loiden Paramananda. Shadamatra Loiden Paramananda. Kodanita, Kodanita. एक बार देख ले चके जा, एक बार देख ले चके जा, एक बार देख ले चके जा, एक बार देख ले चके जा. Gobole nitai den sakala sambhal. Gora bole nitai den sakala sambal. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Then Shuddha Krishna Sikha, then Shuddha Krishna Sikha. Then Shuddha Krishna Sikha, then Shuddha Krishna Sikha. Jati dana vijay bala na kare apeka. Jati dana vijay bala na kare apeka. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Amane chare maya jal, amane chare maya jal. Amane chare maya jal, amane chare maya jal. Grihita ko banita ko natake janjal. Grihita ko banita ko natake janjal. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Anaiko Kali boy, Anaiko Kali boy. Anaiko Kali boy, Anaiko Kali boy. Hachandale denam nitai doyamoy. Hachandale denam nitai doyamoy. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Bhakti Vinodaki koi, Bhakti Vinodaki koi. Bhakti Vinodaki koi, Bhakti Vinodaki koi. Nitai charan bina nahi ashray. Nitai charan bina nahi ashray. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi. Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi. Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi, Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi, Jaya. Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi, Jaya Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Purushashi. Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Shri Koditaya Mahaprasad ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Iskon Guru ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. That's somebody saying Jai. Got a dose of the Jais. So this mission of Lord Chaitanya, Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan, that from Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna and Balaram have descended. Arnai or Kaliyar boy, there's no more fear in the age of Kali because Gaunataya have descended. Krishna and Balaram have descended in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, and they've come to Scotland to save everybody. And this is why we sing Nitai Gora Haribol. This means everyone follow in the footsteps of Chaitanya and Nitai and chant Hari Hari. And Lord Chaitanya himself was personally doing this. Sometimes we think things are a bit austere. Can you imagine walking around India on your own for 6 years, bare feet, not knowing where your next meal's coming from, and your mission is just to get everyone to chant? So the Lord, he did this personally. And we shouldn't think that what we're doing is detached from the Lord's mission. We're doing exactly the Lord's mission. So I wanted to bring up a few quotes from Srila Prabhupada in relation to this. So when Srila Prabhupada first met his spiritual master, then what did his spiritual master request him to do? Does anyone remember? A wee bit louder. Okay, go and preach in the English language. Yeah, because he was a very good English speaker, isn't it? And Prabhupada immediately, he was so prior to that, he was actually a bit cynical because he'd seen so many so-called sadhus coming to his father's house, and some of these sadhus were doing things which sadhus don't do, like smoking hash. So if you see any sadhus doing these kind of things, then they're not sadhus, they're badhus. So Prabhupada, he showed us the standard. He knew already. Even he himself said his father was a pure devotee, but because he was so kind, he would entertain so many people. But it doesn't mean to say he didn't know the right from wrong. And Prabhupada knew this. He was taught to worship the deities from early childhood and doing Rath Yatra from childhood. And because of these things, Rath Yatra is going on all over the world. The worship of the deities is going on all over the world. And when he met his spiritual master, immediately, does anyone remember what Prabhupada said after having met him? Yeah, he said, I met a very nice, saintly person. So he probably said it in Bengali, so it's probably something like that. Yes, so he was actually convinced the moment he met him. He knew he was the real deal. And his spiritual master knew that Srila Prabhupada was a real deal, so he gave him that mission right from the beginning. This is your purpose in life, to go and give this message to the English-speaking world. And he did. And when he arrived in Boston Harbor, he wrote a nice bhajan, Markine Bhagavat Dharma. And in there, he noted, as soon as he arrived there, he noted that the Rajagun and Tamagun modes of passion and ignorance were very much prominent. Everyone is being controlled by that. And as it's Kali Yuga, we can expect that only to get worse, to become more towards the Tamasgun. So he was thinking, I don't know why you brought me here, but I'm a puppet in your hand, so if you want to make me dance, then make me dance as you like. And he was also saying that his desire was to spread the holy name of Lord Gauranga to every town and village. So we're very fortunate because for many years, and even if you go out in the street now, you'll see the remnants of that still there. For many years, the devotees in Scotland were going out in Sankirtan every day, and whether people took a book or not, we'd ask them to chant Gauranga, because the whole thing is that before we chant japa, before we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what do we chant? Prabhu Shirve Tagadathar Shiva Sadi Gora Bhaktavrind. All right, and why do we chant that? Yep. It's to free us from any offences or to avoid offences. So, of course, we don't just chant that and then think, okay, I've chanted that, now I can do my offences and I'm excused. So, therefore, the idea was that people sometimes they have a hard time even chanting Hare Krishna. It's not a very difficult thing to do. But we do this drama, Genie in the Lamp, she puts on this drama sometimes. And the genie is very averse to chanting. So the genie is representing the mind. And the mind is not generally attracted. We see even in the bhajans, of the great acharyas, they say, I was never attracted to the chanting of the holy name or to the Lord's service. But this is them just speaking as if they were a conditioned soul, so that we can relate to that sometimes we don't have an attraction. We have attraction to so many things in the material world, isn't it? Because we can see that's something in front of our senses become attracted. But with a little practice of Krishna consciousness, then we can gain an attraction for that which is permanent and which is beyond the temporary manifestation of the material world, beyond this chewing the chewed. How many generations have came before us, trailblazing the way for a new path of sense gratification, a new philosophy, a new social system, some new this ism or that ism. But ultimately, it doesn't succeed. It ends in failure because life is temporary in this world. And if we focus on that which is temporary, then we miss the real value of the human form of life. So in this song, Udilo Aruna Pura Babagi. So Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they're going around every town and village calling out, wake up sleeping souls. No, I won't do a spoiler on this one because that is coming soon, but basically his thing is that you're spending your days uselessly decorating your dead bodies. Right? The body's never alive, simply a covering that we use for some time. And then you're night sleeping and you're forgetting Yashoda Nandana, the darling of Mother Yashoda. So he's calling, wake up, sleeping soul, not just like time to get up out of bed. It's not that he's going around when everyone's sleeping. He might be doing that as well. But he's talking about wake up from your slumber in illusion and Maya We're thinking we're this body, that we have something to do with this world. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur puts it in very simple terms. The only two things of substance in this world is the jiva and the holy name. Everything else is inconsequential. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya and his associates and the Guru Parampara, their mission is wake up, sleeping soul. And in this age of Kali, people will see people becoming very afraid. And there's much cause for it, because always danger every step. Padam, padam, yadvi, padam. So it's mentioned that there's only two people who can be happy in this world. Who are they? Apart from Gornitai. Two types of people can be happy in this world. Anyone? Devotee? A mad person. That's right. Because you'd have to be mad. Unfortunately, because people are lost to their mind and senses, then there is a type of madness there. And that madness means that we don't know who we are. If someone doesn't know who they are, then you tend to think, okay, that person needs a little bit of hypnotherapy or something or other to help them remember who they are. Maybe they have an accident, they get a bump in the head, they can't even recognize their own family or their friends, or they look in the mirror and they don't even recognize themselves. So we're suffering amnesia from Krishna. And this Krishna consciousness movement is there to revive that original consciousness. This is Lord Chaitanya's mission, to revive the original Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, he gives some very nice instructions here regarding preaching. So, of course, we're all here sitting today together, having nice prasadam, having a nice sing-song of the holy names, being in good company. We're not really afraid of anyone's going to create a big problem here. But if you have this many people sitting in a room and they're all drinking alcohol, then anything could happen, isn't it? It happens every weekend. Any weekend of the year, you go down and you see the police are always wandering around the streets at night, just waiting on something kicking off. But we don't see the police having to come here. And places like Ukraine, where they have tens of thousands of devotees having festivals, I'm sure it's also the same there. It's not that the police are just waiting to arrest anybody who gets into a fight. So because when the living entity has this thing in common, that we're all here for the purpose of serving Krishna, glorifying Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Sikha. So Bolo Krishna, chant the holy name of Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow the instructions of Krishna, his shiksha. So this bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's really giving us a lot of encouragement, making things very simple for us. If we want to be free from fear, then just engage in this Sankirtan movement, and then we will very quickly regain that service connection to Krishna. This is in the mood of the highest servants of the Lord. The gopis of Vrindavan, they're always glorifying Krishna. So when we take these books out to the street, or we take the holy name to the street, this is glorifying Krishna. This is attracting Krishna. So I just want to speak a few words here, or speak of some Srila Prabhupada's words, actually. So this book here is called the Shikshamrita. It's letters, compilation of letters. So we should think, first question is, this word preaching, it's the Sanskrit word or the Bengali word is what? Prachar. Sounds like achar. Prachar means preaching, but actually I believe the A more accurate description is that it's sharing, that you're overflowing so much with something that you share it. Just like someone who's not a miser, if they get more than they need, then they'll give it to other people. Someone who's a miser, doesn't matter how much they get, they never give anything to anybody. Sometimes you see some people, they're very wealthy. And how are they wealthy? Because they never give anything away. But then, even in the Bible also says the giving hand is the receiving hand. You know, if Krishna gives with your two hands, what can you hold? If he takes with your two hands, what can you hold? So this is the thing, is that when we get something from Krishna, we recognize everything's coming from Krishna, they want to give it. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that none so dear as one who preaches my glories. So if we want to become dear to Krishna, which is the purpose, is to become Krishna Priya, then we want to step out of our comfort zone. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, give up all sense of self-comforting. So in order to do that, to get that special mercy, to get Krishna's attention, then we have to step out of our comfort zone. So whether that means that we directly go onto the street or go to people's houses or find some way to share this transcendental knowledge, or whether we do something to help serving that mission. So to that end, we have a couple of forms here. One is for sponsorship. We'll speak about this in a little bit later. And another one is for services which can be related to either directly book distribution during the marathon or to some services which would help to support the book distribution. So, for example, particularly at Krinabavan, this whole Krinabavan, all the buildings, the temple, everything which is here, it came about by book distribution. When we came to Scotland in 1986, January, we didn't have a penny. We didn't even have a car. And we had a small number of books. And the car we had was a hired car. We didn't have a place to stay. But we were asked to come and start a temple. And within a year, we had collected enough to make a deposit on Krinabavan, the original building. And there were some unfortunate things happened in the yatra, and the book distribution took a dive, and nobody was buying books from the warehouse. So we took advantage of it and made a nice offer and got loads of books. And we started distributing these great classics. You may have seen them. I'll just show you. These books here. Maybe Talkstew and Jagannath Priya might remember we're distributing those books. And I think there was 5 in this set. And we got such a good deal on them that we were able to give them away for £2 or £3, and people just couldn't believe getting such a book like that. So they'd give you more, so you'd give them another book. And then they say, oh, I need to give you something else. Before you know it, people going away with 5 books in their hand. And so many other books we were giving out. Prabhupada said that if the temple focuses on book distribution as its primary source of income, then there'll never be any shortage of funds. Sorry, I'll correct myself there. If the temple focuses on book distribution as its primary activity, and everything else which was going on was to support that. Of course, now we have so many different types of services. We have deities, we have gardens which are there serving the deities well, but the deities are here not just to get a little bit of chamra waved in front of their face and to get some incense stuck up their nose. But the deities are here because for years the devotees were calling on them, and they're here to grace the Scottish people with their presence and to enthuse us to go and take their mission out to them. This is their purpose of being here. So we want them to stay. We don't want, like, perhaps some other temple has got a better preaching spirit and they think, okay, time to go and travelling Sankirtan, Gornitai, go somewhere else. we want them to stay. So, and the thing which is enthusing to them is to see, we see Lord Nityananda is saying that, what was that verse? Oh, I can't remember the verse. But Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Goranga Namare Yajna Goranga Siyamara Pranare. So one who chants the name of the Lord, worships the Lord, and then he becomes my life and soul. This is Lord Nityananda. And in the Mana Shiksha, which is written by Narottam Das Thakur, isn't it? Mana Shiksha, Nitai Pada Kamala. Then this is a very important song to understand the position of Lord Nityananda, that we're looking for pleasure, or we're looking for satisfaction, or we're looking for relief in this world. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. So the soothing moonlight of millions of moons, this is the effect of Lord Nityananda. And if we want to have a relationship with Radha and Krishna, then we have to have a relationship, first of all, with Lord Nityananda. This is mentioned in that verse, in that song. So therefore, if we take care of the Lord's work, he takes care of our needs. We don't have to be worrying about what's my swarup, what's going to happen to me at the time of death. We don't have to worry about that. We just take care of their service, they take care of us. And Prabhupada says that the devotees, they're already saved, and now the mission is try to bring others along with us. So this is the prachar. It means that we're taking on so much Krishna consciousness, and we're appreciating that, and we want to share that with others. So there's essentially there's two things Prabhupada say they're required for successful preaching. Does anyone remember any one or two of those? Enthusiasm. Prabhupada said that this whole Krishna consciousness movement was impelled by enthusiasm, utsava. But I was looking for two other things specifically. Without enthusiasm, there wouldn't be these two other things, though. Yep. And yeah, to know the philosophy. Yeah, so if we know the philosophy, but we're not following anything, then it doesn't really have the potency. And if we're following everything, but we don't read the books, then we might be pure, but we might not know how to express it. And someone asks us a question, I don't know, just read the books. Don't you read them? I have no time. I'm too busy chanting. I'm too busy doing service. And Prabhupada, he instructs us to be careful that we all make sure we get time to read this Krishna conscious literature. So Prabhupada also says that if we want to preach, there's two things also required, is that we have to have some compassion and we must take risks. Taking risks means that not everybody will be happy with what you're doing. You go around chapping on the doors, people say, what are you doing here? Get away. Go back to your own country, or go back to your own village, or you don't know what you might get. But at the same time, there will be people there who are just waiting. Like one devotee was saying that the souls in Kali Yuga, they're simply just sitting there rotting in Kali Yuga, wondering, when is Lord Chaitanya going to come down my street and save me? So this is we are Lord Chaitanya's representatives. We go out there, we try to connect with people some way or another, and if we find that too difficult, then come and do some service which can support others to go out, or sponsor books so that others can give them out, etc. We have some devotees going out regularly from here, but we can also organize other things, as Gita Jayanti will be coming up as well. So although Krishna is the all-attractive, then he's attracted by the devotee performing devotional service, especially when the living entity takes risks to spread his name. So regarding your question, the devotees are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. This has come from the second chapter, isn't it? I may inform you that the Lord's advice to his devotee, pointing out to Arjuna, is that one should not speak about God consciousness to a person who is neither a devotee nor has undergone any disciplinary methods. But a devotee sometimes takes the risk of approaching non-devotee rascals, even at the cost of his life. Interesting, Prabhupada uses this word rascal. So here it's referring to this verse where one should avoid the association of non-devotees, but in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada says that the devotee, knowing the purpose of the Lord, he'll take so many risks for the pleasure of the Lord. And this is why they become very dear, because the Lord's saying, safeguard yourself, don't take bad association. But the devotees will keep good association, and they'll stay strong by chanting the holy name, and they'll go out and they'll take risks to preach Krishna consciousness. So there's another quote here. The devotees of the Lord are so powerful that each and every one of them has the power of delivering many demons, even condemned by the Lord. So there's a saying, there go I, but by the grace of God. So we shouldn't necessarily just think, these guys are demons and we're devotees, let's just keep away from them. Because we could easily, and maybe we were the same as them, we were doing the same things as them, or we could fall into that trap. Who's to say we couldn't? But the devotees will take so many risks to do this, and therefore they take shelter in the Lord. And when there's any risks, they chant Nrsimha Pranams. Funny story. We were in Dundee many years ago when we first, I think it was before we even had Krishna Bhavan, and then Narayan Das was on the street. And we used to do Sankirtan so many different places. This day we were in Dundee, and we used to get moved on from there very regularly. They didn't appreciate us so much. Of course, Krishna consciousness was very new to people. I think we were living in Stronachie House at the time. Judy will remember that. I think you came and visited us up there near Milnathorpe, Kinross, remember, in the hills. So we'd go to places like Dundee and Perth. It was quite handy from there. And the police came up to, he was back to Nick at the time and said, let me see your permit. He said, you don't have any authorization to be here, do you? He says, yes, I do. We have authority. He says, see it. He pulled out a picture of Lord Nrsimhadev. It's okay, you're coming with us, you job dodger. But I think they appreciated his sense of humour as well. And that's the fact of the matter, that maybe we didn't have authority from them, but if we'd have given up then, that we better just go back down to the manor then. Then we wouldn't be here today, would we? And back in the early days, it was a bit of cat and mouse with the devotees and the local authorities, but it came to the point where they began to understand and appreciate the value of the devotees being on the street, and come to the point where they started protecting the devotees. So we see that if we just surrender to the will of the Lord, then everything resolves itself. So according to people's actions, maybe they're condemned, but the devotees go out and they give them prasad, they give them a book, they go and chant the holy name of the Lord. These are the three things which we use as weapons of the Sankirtan movement. And by stepping up to this challenge, then the Lord's attracted. Prabhupada says here, the more we face difficulties, the more we draw the attention of Krishna. So in that way, We shall be prepared to meet all kinds of difficulties in our preaching work. Be blessed and preach. And here Srila Prabhupada was also in a letter to Hamsadutta in 1970. He was saying, regarding your consideration of management, no, we should take all risks for Krishna. This mentality to chant in a solitary place without any responsibility of preaching work is not approved by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. One of our Gaur brothers was doing like that, and my spiritual master was not very satisfied with him. So that's because we're Gosti and Andi, not Bhajan and Andi. This is the line that we're following. So whether we're serving on the front line or we're doing something to support that front line, then this is the mission we're part of. And this is the way to attract Krishna's blessings. As we're saying, Krishna's attention is attracted to us. And of course, the Harinam Sankirtan movement was inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya himself, chanting the holy names everywhere. And this book distribution is none other than Harinam Sankirtan as well. Because by reading these books, people's life can be changed. By hearing the holy name, they can become attracted. And by taking prasadam, they become purified. Srila Prabhupada says that, please accept my blessings. I am encouraged to note that you're working very nicely in Krishna consciousness. This kind of service is especially appreciated by Krishna, that some devotees should take risk for his preaching work. My Guru Maharaj repeatedly requests his disciples to go out into far-off lands like Glasgow, Edinburgh, Paisley, for spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya. Thank you very much for this. And here also to try to adopt the mood of Lord Chaitanya here, Srila Prabhupada explains that the mood of the devotee is always concerned for the general mass of people, that they should stop their sinful activities and become delivered from the most dangerous conditions of life. So compassion and taking a risk. So when we show compassion, then the Lord is very compassionate to us. He's known as the most merciful incarnation. So when we go and give out the mercy to others, we take some risk, then the Lord, he will be merciful to us. This is the thing about spiritual life. The more you give, then the more you get. In material life, the more you give away, the less you have. So here is a little bit about door to door. We go from door to door canvassing people to join Krishna conscious movement. That means we are trying to make them fortunate. Anyone who gives some service to this Krishna conscious movement is fortunate proportionately. And Srila Prabhupada himself, he was doing this when he came to America. He had his books and he was going to various shops. In the beginning, I was the only one and I started everything. So you have twice as many men. Trust in Krishna. So this must mean, I think he was relating to a letter, and a letter to a devotee who had one other person with him. So Prabhupada saying, you've got twice as much opportunity as me. Trust in Krishna and simply dedicate your life to introducing the chanting of Hare Krishna and Krishna consciousness philosophy to whomever you meet. Surely Lord Chaitanya will be pleased by your effort there, and thus you will be eligible for his benediction, which is to award love of Krishna. Krishna Prema Pradayate. So this is the price we pay. This is 1970 letter to Guru Das. It is so satisfactory to understand that you're preaching from house to house, you're recruiting members for our London centre. This was the procedure of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda when they began preaching. I think the charity box system will be very nice success, especially from the Indian store owners. So that's interesting. We do have some charity boxes which we used to leave in shops. And it's another service if anybody wants to do that. You can go and you can put a charity box in a shop and you take a note of it. And then a little while later, you go back and you get it. And then we take that Lakshmi and we utilize it in Krishna service. It's quite an easy service to do. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, he used to send his most confidential disciples to go out on the street and canvass house to house to accept the Sankirtan movement. And here we're seeing also, he says, and even if the magistrate would object to such Sankirtan movement on the complaint of some demons, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would still send out his disciples, and at the same time he exhibited a great civil disobedience movement on the account of the magistrate's order to stop Sankirtan. So with purity and conviction, Prabhupada said that you should all read very carefully Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and you should be able to answer all questions like this, and only in rare cases approach me. But it's important that our students must be able to answer all questions for becoming preachers. And here's another nice quote. Please always remain submissive in spirit to Krishna and spiritual master, and by their grace you will get all strength to speak and satisfy your audience. So sometimes when we take a risk to go and speak to people, we don't know what we're going to say. Or if you ask to address an audience in some engagement, you may have some idea what you're going to say, but you don't really know. But you pray to the Lord and then he will speak through you. And that's why it's important that we read, because whatever goes in, it will be in there and it can come back out again. And it's important that we chant these 16 rounds every day as well, so that the purity is there. 16 rounds is the purity, and reading Shastra regularly, then we can understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, it was a couple of categories here. There was one, there's a few letters where devotees were asking about preaching to vegetarians or preaching that people become vegetarian. And of course, Prabhupada said that even if people become vegetarian, then the whole climate would improve. But he was saying that our business is not to make people vegetarians, but to make them devotees, and they automatically become vegetarian. And he was actually referring to, we don't have to resort to ghastly propaganda, as he puts it, like showing some ghastly images of animals being slaughtered. He says we don't have to resort to that. We just preach Krishna consciousness, automatically people will follow the right path anyway. So although we do give out vegetarian cookbooks, but it does tell you how to offer prasadam, how to offer food. And people must be doing it, because we had, years and years ago, I had one old guy, and it wasn't an old guy, he was old then, I was young, and he had a family, and he was offering food. He read the book and started doing the recipes, and he showed you how to set up an altar. He was doing that, and then he was concerned about, how do the kids get warm food, because by the time I leave it there, everything goes cold. So we showed him how to, we described how you get bowls for the Lord, and that's just for Krishna, and then everything stays hot in the pot. So that's good, everyone will be happy now. So we don't know how many people are taking that on board. I remember before I joined the temple, I got a Gita, and I was trying to offer food. I didn't know how to, but I tried, and I felt some reciprocation. So even if we don't know the language, if we try to make some endeavor, Krishna will reciprocate us within the heart. And Prabhupada was also talking about preaching to businessmen, like sometimes at Tokshaja and other devotees, they go preaching to businessmen, because they're in a position to give nice donations to help the movement, and they do, and they understand also the message. They're intelligent people to run a business. then you're not a Nimrod. You're not a fool. And Prabhupada says that we preach to the masses and the classes. If we preach to the masses, they'll support us. And if we preach to the classes, then they'll preach for us. So he was referring to at that time George Harrison. They're of a class of person who had some fame, and he used that in Krishna's service. So we should just try this. Prabhupada says that we must follow our principles, our own principles, and we can go anywhere to perform Sankirtan. Years ago, I used to do this program called Every Town and Village. And I was accustomed to doing Sankirtan when I was young. We used to find like the busiest city and the busiest street, and that would be where we'd go. And it would be just like surfing on a big wave. You'd just be trying to stop like 100 people a minute. We thought that's how it had to be like really intense. And then we realized that actually you might approach 100 people a minute, but maybe one stops every 3 minutes. So if you can get the same return in a quieter place. So the main thing is try to utilize our time and pray to Krishna to help us, to guide us what to say, where to go, how to present things, and get the association of devotees who are already doing this. So I think I'll just stop there. There's two forms I have here. First of all, just ask anyone get any comments or questions or anything they'd like to share. Okay. So before the next part of the program, which is singing Jeev Jago, and I hope she's going to speak a bit about Sankirtan movement. Then there's a form here, which devotees can come and see me, and we can work out what service you might like to do to help the Sankirtan Marathon, the Big Distribution Marathon. And it's a good opportunity. So why do we have a Big Distribution Marathon in December? Why not just have it all the time? Well, that's a good reason. I never thought of that one. That's another auspicious reason. It was spoken at that time of year. But more practically, because the winter or Christmas Big Distribution Marathon came about by chance or arrangement, was it? So, but why that time of year? Practically speaking, there's more people on the street. There's more people on the street with money. There's more people on the street with money looking to buy presents. So this is one service we can do. Sometimes the devotees, they will take books out with a ribbon wrapped around them, maybe a few packages. Now, if anybody can offer to come and help do that. I was just thinking the other day, was it yesterday? Yeah. Yesterday, the devotees were preparing to go in Sankirtan and it snowed. And I was thinking, the Sankirtan devotees are having to clear the road and then go out. But if we had some devotees who were around who could just say, okay, just call me for the snow and I'll come and help clear it so the Sankirtan devotees can get out. Because otherwise you've got like a handful of people just doing everything. And it's a bit of a tall order, isn't it? And I think 3 of us fell on it yesterday too. But yeah, things like that. Even cutting vegetables, cleaning the temple, so many different services do, which will allow others who have got some experience and desire to go out. Or if you want to go out with the devotees, or even just go out and watch them, like Vaisheshika, he often says to devotees who have never tried Sankirtan is, you just go out and touch the street. Because sometimes we're thinking, oh, going out to the street, meeting people I've never spoken to before, I'm shy. Everybody's shy. Well, not everybody, but a lot of devotees who have been doing Sankirtan for years are shy as well. But for Krishna, then Krishna can break that ice. We can overcome our conditioning. Krishna will empower us. There's a nice series of instructions by Shiv Ramaswamy where he talks about don't get in the way. Because the success of Krishna is already there, just like Bhagavad Gita. Krishna had already decided what the result was. And Arjuna could either get in the way or get out of the way because Krishna was going to do it, or be part of it. And he chose to be part of it. So this is us too. We can just become part of it and learn how to not get in the way of ourselves. That's our main problem in life, isn't it? We think there's so many other things are our problem, but the problem is we are our own problem. We get in the way of ourselves. Okay, and also another. So please come and see me if you think you can offer some service, or you may have some time, and I could we can work out what things you could do to help either here or from home. For example, you could take some books with you, wrap them up, and then devotees can get them. So that saves them like a few hours, more time they can spend on the street. And also, there's another form here for sponsoring books, if you like to sponsor, which can be distributed in the marathon. There will also be some Gita sponsorship opportunities specifically coming up at Gita Jayanti. So on the 8th of December, we'll have Gita Jayanti here at Krunabhavan. 14th of December, there'll be Gita Jayanti in Edinburgh Hindu Mandir. And is there anything for Glasgow? Coming up. Watch this space. Okay, thanks everyone for your rapt attention. ISKCON Govinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shishi Koditaya Mahaprashashi ki, Priyat Madanga Transdana Bhakti ki, Hitai Gaur Premanande. So we'll just invite Madhupati to sing Jiv Jago, is that right? And then Atoksha is going to speak after that. Who said that? Ishan Prabhu ki. So I'll just be sitting outside. If anybody is going out and they want to speak to me just now, I'll just be there.
जीव जागो जीव जागो गोरा चाँद बोले जीव जागो गोरा चाँद जीव जागो गोरा चाँद बोले जीव जागो কত নিদ্রা জাগো মায়া কত নিদ্রা জাগো মায়া পিশাচির কোলে কত নিদ্রা জাগো মায়া কত কত নিদ্রা জাগ মায়া পিশাচির কোলে। জীব জাগ, জীব জাগ, গোরা চাঁদ বলে। জীব জাগ, জীব জাগ, গোরা চাঁদ বলে। ভজিব বলিয়া এসে সংসার ভিতরে, ভজিব বলিয়া এসে সংসার ভিতরে, ভজিব বলিয়া এসে সংসার ভিতরে, ভজিব বলিয়া এসে ভুলিয়া রহিলে তুমি অবিদ্যার ঘোরে। ভুলিয়া জীব জাগ, জীব জাগ, গোরা চাঁদ বলে। জীব জাগ, তোমারে লইতে আমি হইনু অবতার, তোমারে লইতে আমি তোমারে লইতে আমি হইনু অবতার, তোমারে লইতে আমি হইনু অবতার। আমি বিনা বন্ধু আর, আমি বিনা বন্ধু আর, কে আছে তো মা। আমি জীব জাগ, জীব জাগ, গোরা চাঁদ বলে। এনেছি সদি মায়া নাসিবার লাগি, এনেছি সদি মায়া এনেছি সদি মায়া নাসিবার লাগি, এনেছি সদি মায়া নাসিবার লাগি। হরিনাম মহামন্ত্র লও তুমি মাগি। জীব জাগ, জীব জাগ গোরা চাঁদ বলে। ভক্তি বিনোদ প্রভু শরণে পড়িয়া, ভক্তি বিনোদ প্রভু শরণে পড়িয়া, ভক্তি বিনোদ প্রভু শরণে পড়িয়া, ভক্তি বিনোদ প্রভু সেই হরি নমঃ মন্ত্র লইল মা গিয়া, সেই হরি নাম মন্ত্র জীব জাগ গোরা চাঁদ বলে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে, হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে, কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে, হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে, হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে হরে।
Wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up, sleeping souls. Hello, sleep in black, which tall man.
You have forgotten the way of devotional service, and are lost in the world of birth and death.
I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world.
I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
So we'll just sing Jai Radha Madhava and then talk a little bit about Sankirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Bihar Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yamunatiravanachari 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Punjabi Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiranachari Yamuna Tiranachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Kodanitai, Mayapo Shashi, Kodanitai, Mayapo Shashi, Mayapo Shashi, Kodanitai, Jaya Mayapo Shashi. Iskam Guru Vrinda ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Kodanitai, Mayapo Shashi. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Bhakti Solution ki. Go Premanandi, Hari Bol. Sadhanas. About Sankirtan, my experiences. What was the other thing you showed? Inspirations, yeah, inspirations. Never forget inspirations. So it is interesting because we do book distribution not because we're going to get paid, but because we're inspired. If you're getting paid, then as long as the money's coming in, then everything's fine. But if it's based upon inspiration, it's like chanting, you know. If I say to you, We're going to be watching you this morning when you chant, and if you chant good rounds, you get £1 million. A lot of devotees will chant very good rounds, but because it's inspired, it's whether you're inspired, whether you feel inspired to chant, and if you don't feel inspired to chant, then you won't chant very well. And so, what is inspiration based upon? Do we know why? Well, I'll give you. Inspiration is based upon the fact that we have a good understanding of why we do something. That's why we're inspired, because we know why. A wise man is a man who has a lot of whys. He knows why he's doing it. He knows why he has to do it. He knows why he should keep doing it. He knows why it's so important to do it. He knows why so many people need to get one of these books. There's got a lot of whys there. And the more whys that you have, why you should do it, the more inspired that you'll be. But if you're there and you're thinking, I don't really want to do this, nobody's interested anyway, and I've been out for over half an hour, I'm wasting my time, and there's a Starbucks just over there, and actually there's a sale on right now in TK Maxx. Maybe I'll just go and check it out. So, is anyone familiar with the expression, your pledge is your wedge? Everyone, anyone heard that now? You know what it means? What are you looking at? Yeah, to some degree. If you have a wedge, say there's a crack in the wall here, and you want to knock the wall over. There's a little hairline crack, and you have a piece of wood that's shaped like that. And which is the best one to start knocking it? You've got a piece of triangular wood, right? So you've got a pipe. I think you've got 3 pieces of wood. But obviously that's not something you're going to do. You put it in start passing it. I mean, you may knock the wall over then. So the wedge, the pledge is, okay, so how many of us have it? Even if it's just giving the person, we'll sponsor the book. It's £1 or £2 for easy journey to other planets. So, okay, I'm going to pay for that book. I'm going to go up to somebody and I'm going to give them the book. I'm definitely going to do that. So that's your pledge. And that's also your wedge, because if you can do that, then maybe you could do 2 books the next day, maybe you could do 3 books the next day. You start off with something that you can do. It's like we say to people when they start chanting, well, tell you what, just do 1 round. 1 round's fine. That's all you have to do, just do 1 round. And they keep doing 1 round, and then maybe a month later, then we say, why don't you try 2? Try 2, because you've managed 1 okay. And then eventually, over a period of maybe 6 months or a year, of course, some people, they just start doing it straight away, which is really good. And usually 6 months or a year later, they're actually chanting 16 rounds. And all they've done is they've just bashed the wedge in a little bit more, and it's come apart a little bit more, and then eventually it's in 100%. And there you go, you know. So we should look at Sankirtan as being something that we can do. Everyone can do it. And in the age we're in now, Kali Yuga, every other process of self-realization it's saying in the scriptures that we can't do it. And sometimes devotees think, oh, I prefer doing yajnas, or I prefer doing meditation, or I prefer doing deity worship. You're in the wrong yuga. It's Kali Yuga. We don't do that. Kali Yuga is just Harinam Sankirtan. And although we talk about book distribution, the Christmas marathon, and collecting £1,000,000 and distributing 10,000 books, really what it is, it's Harinam Sankirtan. So when you're going out to do Sankirtan, book distribution, the holy name has to be there. And that sound vibration is the fire in Kali Yuga. In other yugas, the fire was there, and then you would pour oblations on. And if somebody blew the fire out, that was the end of the yajna. Everybody went home. There's no fire. You can't do any sacrifice. In Kali Yuga, the fire is the vibration of the holy name. That vibration needs to be going all the time. Okay, you're doing books, but still, Hare Krishna, excuse me, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Because you'll notice when you're on Harinam Sankirtan, you can see a mile away which people are favorable, because they're like that. There was one girl last night on Harinam, she her arms went down, her mouth opened, and she was right by my side, I was like, I wasn't sure first of all whether she was supposed to be with us, and she'd just seen us and she became enthralled and she just couldn't get away. She was like magnetically stuck to us. And first of all, she was trying to get the mantra, and then she started to get it, and then she couldn't work out that you're supposed to wait till the person leading is finished. She was just singing all the time, but that was okay. And then I looked around, she was still there. Like about 20 minutes later, now she would have been great to give a book to. If you just said, "Here's a book," she'd have been, "Oh, wow." So we can do that if we're just on our own on Sankirtan and we're chanting, "Hare Krishna," excuse me, and the person goes, "Bleh," then he's not going to be good. He's not going to be good. Don't try and give him a book. Just say, "Oh, I hope you get over it soon. Have a nice day." Leave him alone, Only 10% of the people are going to be interested, so don't waste your time on 90%. Save your energy for the 10%. And if you're singing, you're on Harinam Sankirtan, you've got your bag of books, Hare Krishna, and somebody comes up and they go, okay, that's one of the 10%. Then you go over to them, "Hey, I'm passing these out today." And they'll usually be more interested, more favorable. So that's Majjhima Adhikari is different from a Kanishta. Kanishta, he just sees everybody as the same, which can be like, quite off-putting because everyone looks as demonic as everybody else, so they all look as horrible as each other. You can't see any nice ones. Everyone looks as bad. But the Majjhima Adhikari can see the devotee. He can see the non-devotee. He can see the envious, and he can see Krishna, or at least Krishna's hand. That's the Majjhima Adhikari. So book distribution pushes you up from Kanishta onto the Majjhima Adhikari platform. And you're able, it may take an hour or two, but suddenly you can see a devotee sometimes on Sankirtan and they're struggling. You experienced that yourself? Sometimes you can be struggling for an hour or two, and then suddenly, ding, the light goes on. And you can see the devotee suddenly, he's got a twinkle in his eye. And it's, "Oh, I can see now who the devotees are." And he goes over, and sure enough, he approaches somebody, the person likes it, they help. And he's able to develop the ability to discriminate. That can take an hour or two to do that. But definitely if you're saving your time and not wasting it on the 90%, the people that don't seem interested from their body language and they're not warming up to you, and your field, your Vaikuntha bubble, is the sound vibration. If the sound vibration stops on Sankirtan, the yoga is over. Even if you're doing books and you're selling things and you're taking money, the yoga is over. The whole process in Kali Yuga is to have the fire of the vibration going in all the time burning, and then we offer into the fire our endeavor, our book distribution, and then everything's perfect and complete. So, the first question, this is a heavy question, okay? Oh, we've got a question before the question. Well, I'll hit you with this question first to make you really nervous, and then I'll take that question, okay? So here's the first question. Do we care? Okay, what's the question? Yeah. Hello, my name is Tony. I'm actually a monk from an organic vegetarian farm where the animals don't come to any harm. You give a donation today and we'll give you a book on yoga, which will keep you really calm. So that gets a few laughs. People don't. It's non-threatening. It's entertaining, and it's a little intriguing. Is he? Is he really a monk? He seems very happy anyway. What's it all about? You know. And then they want to come over. They become curious. You see, rather than excuse me. Would you like a book that will stop you from going to hell? Do you know where a Yamaduta is? You'll be seeing one very soon if you don't comply. Isn't it? It can be like that. It's got to be light, friendly, non-threatening, not all intellectual and philosophical. Oh, Mum, there's a funny monk there. Can we go and speak to the funny monk? It's got to be a little bit of a jingle. Worse, you just be really, really kind. Look in your pocket and see what you can find. That's called a jingle. They use them in advertising on the radio. Buy one, get one free. The more you give, the further it goes. A little bit of change makes a big difference. I know you're not rich, but you're certainly lucky. So these are just little things you say, you know, or you compliment. Oh my goodness me! There was a lady yesterday. She was wearing this hat. It was like this. I've never seen one like this before. I said, "Oh my God, that hat is amazing. I've never seen it." And she was like, "Someone noticed me. They noticed my hat." You know, that they live for someone complimenting them. You know, so that's a really good way to break the ice with the person, and they think, "Oh, this person's nice, and he's obviously got good taste because he likes my hat." So I'll spend some time with this person. It was actually a really bizarre looking hat. You know, I would never have wore a hat like that in my life, but that's beside the point, isn't it? Do we care? Do we care whether we care? Well, that's the first question, actually. Do we care whether we care? Maybe we don't care. See, in Kali Yuga, everyone is lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So sometimes it's easy just not to care. Because if you don't have to care, you don't have to bother about it. So we have to look at that. What, do we really care? We may not really care because we're not aware of how much. Like Lord Chaitanya, he's most concerned about the most fallen, because the most fallen are going to suffer more than anybody else. So he's most concerned, Patita Pavana. And because he comes to save the most fallen, and we're the first ones here, then we could deduce that we are the most fallen. Anyway, whether that's, in my case, that's true, but whether or not. But the fact is, the most fallen will suffer the most. They will go. They won't just go to the hellish planets. They'll do a tour of the hellish planets. They'll be going from one hellish planet to the next. For so many, you know, if you read the 5th canto, it doesn't take a lot to end up in trouble in the material world, you know. And because in Kali Yuga people don't even know how to be human, at least in the previous yugas they knew what the principles were. In Kali Yuga it's like, really? We're not supposed to do that? I never knew that. You know, they're not even aware of what the principles are, so they're breaking all the principles without even realizing it. So the karma is just like phenomenally stacking up, you know, lifetimes. And it's going to be so long before they get another human form of life. You have to go through all the different species. You lose the human form of life, it takes the same amount of time to get a human form once you've lost it as it does to empty a lake with a hair. That's an old Buddhist saying. So if you want to go over to a lake and empty it with your hair, we'll see you when you've emptied it, and that'll be you ready for your next human form of life. Long time. It's a long, long time. So if we can be aware of that, the more we can become aware, the more we can care, you know. Like, can you imagine being a nurse and you've never experienced pain, and people are riding around, and you're just like, okay, calm down, what's the problem, you know? But if you're aware that they are in pain, and you know what it is to be in pain, because you've been in pain yourself before you came to, like when I first started doing book distribution, I gave a lady a book. She had cancer and she was wearing glasses because she'd gone blind, and her son was pushing her because she'd lost the use of her legs. The cancer just riddled right through her body. It was just a question of days before she was gone, you know. And I says, hey, would you like a book from India on yoga, meditation, karma, reincarnation? And her son said, we're not interested. And he pushed past with the lady in the wheelchair, you know, pushed me out the way. The lady couldn't see that because she was blind, but she says, what did he say? Stop the wheelchair. And so he turned it around and she's like this. And then she finds me, my hand, you know. She grabs hold of my hand. She goes, is there such a thing as reincarnation? And I was just a, young bachelor at the time. I didn't know anything about book distribution. I was just learning, you know. And I just said, of course there's reincarnation. Of course there is. You know, that's what these books are all about. You know, I didn't say it, but it sounded like you're stupid, you know. Of course there's reincarnation. Of course, you know. And I couldn't see her eyes because she had the sunglasses on, but I could see a tear coming down her cheek. And she said to her son, buy that book. And it just really hit me hard that, you can give a person a meal, you could take him out for a drink, take him down the disco, go and watch a film, buy him a pair of trousers. But how much people are suffering because they don't even have the knowledge that the soul is eternal and there is reincarnation. And the highest welfare work is to give a person a book, an authorized Vedic literature with the Sanskrit, the synonyms, the whole translation, and then an explanation. How powerful. It's going to be so authorized, you know. It's like, wow. And then the person's going to read that, and that's going to take a whole weight of anxiety and ignorance off their shoulders that, wow, I'm actually eternal, you know. I don't die when the body finishes. Wow. What a relief, you know. And it's not, the nature of knowledge isn't just that you learn something like, you never knew the capital of, Barbados, or Barbados was a capital, or you never knew, and so that now you know, but you never knew. But when you learn spiritual knowledge, you're reminded of something that you always knew. You always knew the soul was eternal. You always knew there was reincarnation, but the process of education covered you in layer upon layer of ignorance and desensitized you to the truth. And then somebody just stands up. It's like somebody, like Prabhupada stood up and just said, the king is naked. He said, everyone is suffering in the material world. Everyone's trying to pretend they're happy. And Prabhupada just stood up and said, no, everyone is suffering. And then everybody's like, it's a fact, the king is naked. And then they all start laughing because they're all pretending that everything's okay. And the knowledge is just to help them remember it's not okay. You are eternal. There is a mission to the human form of life. And that's what the book distribution is for, to give that out, to share that knowledge. So we have to become aware of reality, and naturally we will be caring. And then the next question is, if we do care, how do we show that we care? Yeah. If you cared about somebody, if you cared about suffering humanity, it wouldn't be so much about listening to them, would it? How would you proactively show that you care? What would that be? What would that boil down to? How would you be compassionate? Would you go up to people and hug them and say, I think you're really cute? Help them, yeah. Help them. Give them. And Prabhupada, Vaisheshwar was just saying recently, Prabhupada said, the remedy for all the maladies in Kali Yuga is the chanting of the holy name. That's what the books are going to show them how to do, the remedy. And he looked up the word remedy. It's a 14th century word, and it means to ward off all evils. Isn't that amazing? That's the remedy, to ward off all evils. So that's how we show we care. Like if a doctor cares, right? And you say, oh, are you a doctor that really cares? He goes, I really am. I am a doctor that really cares. And then you say, well, How much medicine have you passed out? Well, I haven't actually passed any medicine out just yet, but I do really care. I do. I'm really sorry. I mean, look at him. He could do with a couple of paracetamol. He's having a terrible headache. I do really care. But I mean, he's 20 feet away. I don't think he'll be bothered getting up off my chair to go over and give him it, you know. So you show your care by how you get up out of your comfort zone and you go out and intercept people. And you initiate them. Rupa Goswami, Raja Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, he's asking us all, control your senses, focus your mind, and get out there and make disciples. So maybe you're not getting people to throw bananas in the fire and give them a different name, but you're giving them shiksha in the form of the literature, the Vedic literatures. You're shiksha guru. You initiate the situation because you say, excuse me, my name's Tony. I'm actually a monk from an organic vegetarian farm. And we're giving out these books today. When you read one of these books, you'll realize you should have read this book years ago. Guarantee it. As soon as you read it, the first thought that'll come in your mind is, I should have read this book years ago. So that's you. You've initiated the situation. The person was on his way to Burger King. Suddenly it's Tony the monk. What is it? Give a donation and take this book. So you're the one who's initiated the situation and initiated them into spiritual life. So that's how you show you care. If Prabhupada didn't care, then he wouldn't have come over. He would have just been like, well, I'm chanting and I'll pray for everybody. I hope everybody is okay. But he cared and he showed he cared. By putting himself into a situation which threatened his life, he had nothing, he was fully dependent. So we have to repay that. Prabhupada's done it for us, we should do it for everybody else. Prabhupada never came over. What would we be doing? At the very best, we'd manage maybe go in the Hindu temple, right? That'd be the closest we'd get. And how much would you work out from going to the Hindu temple? Apart from you should use a good carpet cleaner, because this one's getting sticky. What are we afraid of? That's a good question. Are we afraid? Well, maybe you're not, you know. If we had to go tomorrow on book distribution, would anyone be afraid? Jayananda, would you be afraid? He wouldn't be afraid. He's okay. What are we afraid of? Is somebody going to take a machine gun and try and shoot us? Rejection, being rejected. Yeah. The fear of rejection. The false ego. Any other fears? There's a terrible fear actually. There's a hellish planet you can go to, and all the people say to you all day for thousands of years is no, 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 and you can't go anywhere. You go and saying no, no, you can't escape. No, no, no. No Loka. You ever been to No Loka? A few times, yeah. So that's what we're afraid of. No. And what happens when you get told no? What it's like being hit on the head with a psychic sledgehammer. So you're 5'11", you get a no. You're 5'10", you get another no. 5'9", and then 5'8", another no. 5'7", no. 5'6". 5'7". After an hour of no, you're like about 3 inches high. Excuse me, could you help me, please? No. And you become like a little flea. And then no one's going to stop for a little flea. Unless they want to stand on it. So the first hour is very crucial on book distribution. But let's not talk about hours, because hours, if our pledges are wedge, it doesn't take an hour to give a book. And that's all we have to do to begin with, just to start. And then we give that book. And do you know what happens when you give somebody a book? One time the devotee was asking, Srila Prabhupada, when I give somebody a book, why do I feel so ecstatic? And do you know what Srila Prabhupada said? He said, because you're being embraced by Lord Chaitanya. Everyone, say we said, okay, tomorrow, instead of going out on book distribution, Lord Chaitanya is going to be on Buchanan Street. And anyone that goes out there is going to get embraced by him. Anybody interested? No, I've got holes in my socks. I can't go. And I've got a bit of a sniffle, actually. I think I've got a bit of a cold. Maybe got next week. But Lord Chaitanya is going to embrace you. Can he come next week? So that's our pledge, is our wedge. So we can do one book, and then if you feel Lord Chaitanya embracing you, you'll be thinking, that was pretty cool. I think I'll try 2 books the next time, and then 3, and then bit by bit. Sheshikabu, he encourages the devotees, first of all, that they shouldn't even do book distribution. They should just go out and watch somebody that's been doing book distribution for a long time, and he's having a good time on Sankirtan. He's enjoying it. You just watch. Just like when we first saw Harinam. When we see the Harinam party, a strong desire wells up in our heart that I would like to experience that. I would like to be in the Harinam party as well. I would like to be experiencing the happiness and the fearlessness and the joy that they're experiencing. So Sankirtan is like that also. When you see somebody and they're enjoying their Sankirtan and they're engaging people and people are taking the books and everything, and they're very enlivened, and you just watch that, you think, wow, I would like to be able to do that as well. So that's how it begins. That's where the desire starts to get planted, and then it starts to cultivate. Once you have that desire, and then bit by bit it gets stronger and stronger, and then you also become one of those devotees that's experiencing the bliss of being Sankirtan. So that's what we're afraid of. No. So in Hungary, actually, they don't say no. Do you know what they say? Nem. They say nem. Nem. And I don't know if you've seen it on the Muppets, but there's this one funny skit. It goes, so it's kind of a funny parody of, really, that's what's happening. People are just saying no. But instead of becoming upset about it, you just find the whole thing amusing. Then become disturbed. And you just save your energy, and you bide your time, and you see how people are responding to you singing the Maha mantra, and you spend all your time and energy and focus on them. Yeah? Isha? No mercy. Oh, yeah, so they get no mercy. No mercy, yeah. So that's what we're afraid of. What causes us to feel awkward on Sankirtan? Do you ever feel awkward at times on Sankirtan? What makes us feel awkward? Why do we feel awkward? Do we feel awkward? Yeah. Most of us feel a bit awkward on Sankirtan, right? Why is it? Why do we feel awkward? We're giving people this amazing bliss. Yeah. 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 Actually, as we get a little bit more seasoned with Sankirtan, we can start to read people, and we can find out how they're going to react. If we're singing the Hare Krishna mantra at the same time, then we can see by how they're reacting to that, because we create this energy around us when you're chanting, called the Vaikuntha bubble. When people come into the Vaikuntha bubble, by how they react. That's nice. How they react, and we can read them to a certain degree. That's why door-to-door can be very, very scary, because with door-to-door, you knock on the door, and you don't know what's going to happen. I remember we were doing this creepy place. It's Crawford, is it Crawford John? It's the main road goes like that, and this place is just in the backwaters there, So we were doing door-to-door there. And I knocked on this door, and it was like, it was all dark inside, you know. I was trying to figure out, and then some, yeah. It was like this terrible smell that came out from the room, like you know, they had a dead body sitting in the living room for the last 3 years or something, you know. I was just so it was a bit of a shock. But generally on the street, you can look at the street, you can see all the people, and you've got your mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, and you can choose, and you can say, oh, that one doesn't look so. Oh, that one looks like they might be good. They look like quite a fun person. He seems to be driving along with it. I'll go and try him, you know. So that makes it less awkward. But what's the really awkward part? If you're talking to them, you've got a good rapport going, they like you, you like their heart, so they like you, you think you're cool, you think they're cool, everything's going fine, and then it gets very awkward at a certain point. What's the point where it gets really awkward? When you have to, do you think you could, you could, give a donation. That's the awkward bit, right? And the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. You chant away and think, I'll have to ask him for a donation soon, but I'll ask him about the dog, and we'll talk a bit about the coat, and I'll have to ask him soon. I've been waiting 20 minutes now. Oh, and by the way, I think you should, possibly give a donation. That's the awkward bit, right? So how do we make the awkward bit less awkward? Get it out as quick as you can. Like if I'm in the shop, say, actually, are you the person in charge? I'm actually a monk, and today we are raising funds. So I hope you're in a good mood. I mean, you look happy. And sometimes they kind of laugh and they go, I'm in a good mood right now. And then you can, so you get it, as soon as you can, you get it out the bag, as quick as you can. We're here, we're doing these books, and we just want you to give a donation, quick as you can. Then it's less awkward. You've got it off your chest. The thing you were worrying about, you've said it. Now, if the person doesn't want to do it, that's fine. If he does, that's even better. But everyone knows where they stand now. Any questions about that? Yeah. Well, actually, somebody was asking this question in Mayapur, because at that time there was this big feud going on. That if you give the person the book first, you're a Brahmin, and if you ask for the donation first, it means you're a Vaishya. So they were having this heated discussion. And the devotee that was leading the discussion, he was really into doing the books first, So one of our devotees was over there, and he said, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? He said, I got a book. And he said, did you get the book first, or did you give a donation first? He goes, I can't remember. So what does it matter? Because they did a test actually in Amita, who was the head of the BBT in Worcester. We had a place at the time, Crum Court, and he was just fascinated because he gets people writing in all the time saying, I had your book and I want to buy some beads, or I'd like to get a dhoti. So he would deal with the mail order, So he would always say to them, well, how did you get in contact? They'd say, oh, I got a book. And he'd ask them, did you get the book? How did you get the book? Did you get it off somebody on the street? Practically nobody got the book off somebody on the street. They got it from a friend. So we did a bit of research on that. And he found, on average, it was the fifth person down the line. So the person gets the book on the street. They give it to somebody who they think from. They give it to somebody who thinks from. They give it to somebody. They give it. And then finally, he reads it, he likes it, and he asks for a set of beads. So how the books get out and where the books are going to go, the books know that, we don't know that. We do know that everyone's book down in the warehouse has got somebody's name written on it. We know that. But That particular book is meant for that particular person. And if we can just let the books go out, like heat-seeking missiles, you just throw the books in the ocean, and they all go, and they all have their different targets that they're going to go for, and they just go through the ocean, and they just find them. And they also know when they're going to go off. They sit on the bookshelf. Like one was sitting on the bookshelf, and this guy, he broke into the house, and as he'd taken him ages actually to get into the house. After about an hour, he finally got in. And as soon as he got in, the guy from upstairs started coming down the stairs, and he thought, it's taking me an hour to get in, I've got to grab something. So he just grabbed something, and he ran off. And when he got around the corner, it was the Bhagavad Gita. And he read it and became a devotee. So nobody else knew. The devotee that was passing around didn't know. The bookshelf didn't know. The guy whose house that the Bhagavad Gita was in didn't know. The only one that knew was the Bhagavad Gita. And he was just waiting for the burglar to break in, to take him, to read it, to become a devotee. And there's no way you're going to figure that one out. Oh, I'm going to give the book first. I'm going to do it on the golden platter and go. It's not even going to be. It's going to be the burglar. It's the burglar that's going to get it. He's going to read it. We're so much thinking we're the doer. We're not doing it. The books are going to go out anyway. The people are going to take it off that are meant to take it off anyway. We can just assist, or we can get in the way. One time they said to Prabhupada, is this movement being spread? Is Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement being spread by your devotees? And he said, no. The Sankirtan movement is being spread in spite of my devotees. Because we're like, I feel a bit mental. I don't think I can really do this. So, however we get those books out, just get them out. If you want to sponsor books and just go and pass out some books, then that's fine. Because it's not, the person you're giving it to is probably not going to be the one that reads it anyway. What is the goal of book distribution? What is the goal? To be the most famous book distributor? What is the goal? Anyone know the goal? Any idea what the goal could be? So that when you go out afterward, you can feel like you're okay, because at least you tried. And you're okay now. Nobody can get in your case because you tried to do it at least. What's the goal? Why do we do book distribution? To make some money. Oh, sorry? To get some sukriti. Yeah, that's a good one. Sukriti means pious credit. You get some sukriti. To be part of the mission, to reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada's kindness that he's chosen to use us to help spread, which is a wonderful privilege. So that's I suppose you could say the goal is then to realize the reality. Realize means coming in contact with reality, actually. If you look at the word realize, it means getting a hold of reality. I've just realized something. I've just come in contact with what I now am aware is reality. So the goal is to become aware of reality. Become aware of who you are, what the mission is, what is actually going on. People are running around. Nobody really knows what's going on, right? They're throwing bombs at each other. They're buying stuff. They're fighting with each other, making up with each other, falling in love with each other, getting divorced from each other. But if you stopped, if we had like a loud announcement over Glasgow City Centre, excuse me everybody, could anybody please tell me what is going on? I never thought of that. What is going? What are we doing with the human form of life? So the goal is to come to the platform of knowledge, real knowledge, and to bring other people also into that same knowledge, that same awareness. What is the success? How do you measure this? How do you measure the success of book distribution? that is a little hard to measure, because to measure it would probably take a few centuries actually. Because a lot of the people that come in contact will get maha punya, which means they'll get a human birth. And it's hard to measure that, isn't it? You know, if we have a Sankirtan score sheet, it's got Bhagavatams, Bhagavad Gitas, higher tastes, chant be happy, people getting a human birth in their next life because they came in contact with you today. It's a hard one, isn't it? But we do know that maha punya is there. If a person touches, Prabhupada said if they take the book to the bin, they get the benefit of carrying Krishna, even if they're carrying him to the bin. They've been holding Krishna, carrying him, they get the benefit, they get a human form of life for that. Maha punya. And then swasti aina is the next level of auspiciousness. So the next level of success is we're giving out books and people are turning up on Sunday and they want to chant and they want to follow the principles and they want to take initiation. So swasti aina, like Ramayana, aina is journey. So Ramayana is the journey of Ram. Swasti aina is auspicious. They start an auspicious journey. They commit to the process of sadhana bhakti. They start following the regular principles. They start chanting. They start associating nicely with devotees. They're off on their auspicious journey. They may not go back this lifetime. They've started the journey. And then Shobham is the final level of auspiciousness, the highest level. Shobham means they go back to Goloka. Goloka Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. The Sankirtan movement is coming from Goloka, and it's come down to take us back to Goloka, which is where we belong actually. We've all come from Goloka, not from Vaikuntha, from Goloka. That's why we're in contact with Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement, because we belong in Goloka. That's the success, the ultimate success. That may take some people 3 or 4 centuries to realize. It may take us more than one lifetime ourselves. Hopefully not. Hopefully this is the last one. But that's the success. Any questions or comments? Yes, Nilamanjari Mataji. What's that? Right now. You okay with that? We'll go around the pubs. Well, it'll be definitely over December. I think we're going to start a few days before December. And don't try and jump in too deep. Just test it with your toe. Test the water. Pass out a few books. Just do a few books. And build up. And gradually get to the point. Yeah. And don't be too hard on yourself, because when you're out there, it's a lonely place. When you're out there, even if there's some devotees around, you can feel very lonely when you're on Sankirtan. Any experience feeling lonely? And not only is it lonely, it's even worse when not only everyone else is against you, everyone else is saying no, and your mind starts saying it. And you say to somebody, excuse me, would you like to take this book? And the mind's saying, come on, he's never done it. He's never done it. You think he's going to, from the way you just, that is useless. You're wasting your time. There's no way. So then your mind, everyone else is against you, and then your mind joins in as well. You just stop doing it. It's a waste of time. You can't do it. Just be honest. Admit it. Go and have a couple of decaf and give us all a break. So you've got to try and keep the mind your friend. With the mind, you train the mind to encourage you, not to discourage you. So when the mind is like that, excuse me, we're having none of that nonsense today, my dear mind. You're my friend. Say nice things to me. Oh, okay. It's really good that you're doing this. I'm so proud of you. It's not easy, and you're out here in your long johns. I'm so proud of you. At least your mind's going to be on your side, right? Any other questions or comments? Another one you can't repeat in front of the deities. About where you should put the book. How we should respond for not to be Sanichanata or Abhisanishana. We should respond in a very humble way, and in a very respectful way. There's a devotee called Leela Shuka, and he's quite advanced because Gurumaj, Shiva Ramaj wants him to initiate disciples. So there's a few now that are stepping forward to take up guruship. So it's quite a special soul. So he was going around the doors, and this man was quite a nasty man actually. He was something to do with the police, like a police inspector or a detective, and he found out later on that he'd been involved in some really heavy, simple stuff, you know. Anyway, he knocked on his door, and the man very rudely and brusquely just said, "Get away from here," you know. So Leela Shuka could have done a few things and said a few things, but he decided to just be his normal saintly self. And, okay, you know, he went off, and the man came out, and he came up to him and he said, "I'm really, really sorry the way I was just then." And he gave him 20,000 for it, which is about, what is that, 40 quid. So Leela Shuka just carried on, and the way it was, you had to go like that round and come back. As he was coming back, the guy saw him, and he came running out again. This time he was in tears. He said, I'm a really bad person. I've been involved in lots of really nasty things. So my soul is lost, the things that I've done. There's no hope for me. But I'd like to give you 80,000, which is a couple of hundred quid, I think. And it was enough to give him. So he said, "Look, I want to give you a set of Bhagavatams." And he said, no. And then his girlfriend came out and she said, "It's very bad luck to refuse a gift someone's offering you." So he accepted a set of Bhagavatams. But what the story illustrates is that if we can always remain saintly and tolerant and not react when people are rude to us, it will touch their hearts, and later on their conscience will come in, and they'll feel so bad that they'll come back, you know. I've experienced it so many times on Sankirtan. Someone's very rude to you, and you're just polite and friendly to them anyway. And then later on they come back and say, just wanted to... I remember there was a businessman once in Leeds, and it was in Dhoti at the time. We were doing straight Bhagavatams. We were doing the Bhagavatams first at that time. And so I approached him, and he just kind of went like that, you know. He wasn't really that rude, but he suddenly turned around and he came back and he goes, "I'm really, really sorry the way I reacted," and he gave a donation, you know. So we should be in it for the long haul, not just the immediate. That okay, maybe the person didn't give there and then, and he goes away, but maybe a few months later that person will remember that he was very rude to you, and you were so nice and respectful still to him, and then he thinks, "I'm going to give a donation now," because that's their way of testing you actually. If they're horrible to you and you're still okay, then they know that you're okay. So it's a little bit of a painful way of proving yourself, but that's what you do, you know. And if you're working the same place year after year after year, people get to know you, you know. And those ones that were slipping through your fingers for years, one day they just say, "Okay, what is it anyway?" "Well, I'm actually a monk." "Oh, go on then." But that can only happen if you've always left them in a very kind of humble, respectful and polite way, you know. It reminds me of the story in the non-violent communication. This lady, she'd just gone to a class in the morning, and that evening their job was working on a place where they give out rooms, and a drug addict came in and said, "I'd like a room." She said, "We've not got any." He jumped over the counter and put a knife up against their throat and pushed it down on the floor. And normally what she says, because he said to her, "You have got a room, you're lying." Now normally what she normally says when she's not gone to a non-violent communication class is she would normally say, "But we haven't got any." And they say, never put your butt in an angry person's face. So because she'd been to the non-violent communication class, when he did that, she said, "You're angry because people just don't show you enough respect." And he said, "That's exactly what it is. People don't, okay, maybe I'm a drug addict, but people should show me respect as well. I'm a person, I've got feelings." So we have to try and hear what they're really saying and not, but, you know, and argue with them, you know. Like they can give you the most silly excuses sometimes. I would give you donation, but my squirrel exploded on the coffee table this morning, and my wallet flew out the window. I was like, come on. So you understand that that's their way of saying no. I don't want to give a donation. So we have to try and hear what their heart is saying, and not what their mind is saying. There's two different things going on, you know. Try and listen to what the soul is saying, although it's all jumbled up in their ego and their senses and the mind and the body. They're all coughing, you know. One lady, she'd gone to a retreat, and it was one of these bonding retreats, you know. And this woman came up to her. They'd been out doing some exercise together, and this woman came up to her and said, "Why you always pretend to be this wishy-washy librarian? You know, why don't you just be yourself instead of all this nonsense pretense, you know?" So she was so hurt by it. She was traumatized, and about 14 months later, she's speaking with the therapist, and the therapist is saying, "Well, what do you think the person really was saying?" You know, and it suddenly dawned on her that the person was saying, "I really want to have a relationship with you, the real person." You know, so she dashed out of the therapist's room. She's trying to find the person, you know, the one person in her entire life that wanted to be a real friend. So we have to be able to develop the ability to go that deeply, that we can see beyond their insults and the negative reactions, and see this is a lost soul, a jiva, struggling with the senses and material energy, and they're calling out for help. Maybe it's very distorted the way they're calling out for it, but that's it. Everyone is looking for Krishna. Some don't realize that they are, but they are, and we realize that they are. They're trying to find Krishna in Marks and Spencer's and TK Maxx and the pound shop. You can get more Krishnas in the pound shop than anywhere else, you know. Normally Krishna's 10 quid, but in the pound shop you get 10 Krishnas for a tenner. But it's not what they're looking for, some plastic useless thing that breaks, right? They're looking for Krishna. We know they're looking for Krishna. Of course, it helps if we found Krishna ourselves, then we really know this is what you're looking for, because I've got it, and it's definitely what you're looking for. There's nothing better. I've tried everything. There's nothing better than Krishna. He's the creme de la creme. This is really what you need. This is what you want, you know. And if you really feel like that, and you really give that energy out, it communicates through to people on another level, you know. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that could get you into a lot of trouble, actually, especially in Glasgow. They said no. They said no. How many times I got to tell you?
No, but you don't really mean that. I mean, you do. You mum on, don't you, really? You do, really, don't you?
No.
No, you do, you do, you do, you do, you do. Come on, go on.
We had one devotee, and but at that time we were doing the books first, you know, and he was invariably, you would hear him say this about 10 times throughout the day. He'd be chasing somebody up the street, and he'd be saying,
I didn't say it was free. I didn't say it was free. I didn't say it was free.
and we got into a lot of trouble because of that, actually. So, how did I get onto that? Oh yeah. So when they say no, then generally, you see, 90% of the people are not that interested. So we don't try and waste energy on those. If the person's saying no, but you think that they really mean yes, but you'd have to be quite good to know that. But generally, we leave them, okay, favorably, you know. If we become too insistent and too intense with people, what actually happens is we lose energy when you're coming in contact with people and you have an intense exchange and they go away ruffled. You lose energy, you lose enthusiasm, you lose confidence. So you want every interaction a very wholesome, heart-to-heart, genuine, where you're really communicating to them that you're fine with them, you appreciate them, you would like them to do this, and if they don't want to, then that's not a problem. Maybe the next time, you know, I say, okay, no problem, I'll catch you when you're drunk in about half an hour. And then it's like, oh, he's let me off the hook and he's okay about it, you know. And then they go away feeling okay. And then you go away feeling okay because you didn't upset them or make them feel bad or feel like they're, like even yourself, right? We're devotees and we know we want to use all the money for Krishna. But even ourselves, if somebody approaches us and says, could you help me, please? Then we feel bad. Maybe I should have given them something, right? And even we feel like that. So definitely people are feeling like that. So we don't want them feeling guilty or bad. So we just have a very positive exchange with them, and we plant that seed of appreciation in their heart, and then that will eventually grow into devotional service. It just starts off as a little seed of appreciation, and then it builds up into something more significant. And we can do that with everybody we come in contact with. And then that means even if the person is saying no, they go away feeling like you have affection for them still, and that the Hare Krishnas are nice people. So that's really good. You know, that's a really good... If it does nothing else in the human form of life, but just that one thought and that one sentiment, then it was all worthwhile, even just for that. They say that in deep space you can see a candle 12 miles away. So in Kali Yuga, everything is so inauspicious. Just one nice exchange with a Sankirtan devotee is so significant that they get a human form of life. Maha Punya, just for that. And we're the ones that are getting the opportunity to do that, to give them that auspiciousness, you know. So don't try and wrangle with the 90% that are saying no. Just try and become very attentive to the 10% that are saying yes to some degree, and we just need to fan their appreciation, their interest, to the point where they can take a book and give a donation, you know. Save your time. If you're too insistent and you're too pushy with people, you know, then you start feeling like a bad guy as well, like you're like a salesman, and you want them to do this so that you can look good, you know. If you have somebody asking you for a donation as well, don't know if you've ever noticed, but if the person's really intense about you giving the donation, the thought always crosses your mind: is this actually for the charity? Because he seems a bit too concerned. Rather than if someone comes up and says, "Would you like to help?" Starving polar bears in the Arctic, and you say, not really, and he goes, oh, okay, then have a nice day. But he's like, well, you don't want to help the polar bears, what's wrong with you, you know? And you start thinking, is it for the polar bears, or does he want to get himself a new car or something, you know? So don't be too attached, too intense, you know. And Yashiv Ramaj is like a Kshatriya. He's like a really powerful, he's got a really powerful energy, you know, and there's things that he can pull off. But each devotee has their own style and technique as well. And you don't really find that out until you go out on Sankirtan, you know. Like there was one devotee we had, he was quite small, you know. And he told me, he says, if you meet a German, slap him in the belly. He said they love it. But what I found out was they only love it if you're like 4 foot high, you know, but not if you're 5'11". So it was okay for him. Are you from Germany, yeah? And then he slapped him in the belly, yeah. For die armen Leute, sammeln Sie Gelder, yeah? Schnell! And then the Germans thought that was really funny, like this little guy pushing them around, you know. They love it. That worked for him because of his body, his physiognomy. So you have to work out from how they react, what you look like to them. That's how you see what you look like, how they're reacting to you. There was one devotee, he came over to me on Sankirtan. He said, Prabhu, how's it going? We'd been doing Sankirtan for an hour, you know. He said, how's it going, Prabhu? I said, it's pretty good, actually. The last guy just took a set of beads. One before that he took a bag of a Gita. He's going to turn up on Sunday for he goes, you know, I'm on this side of the road, and I don't know what it is, but they're weird. It was so weird, these ones. And they're all skin, and they're all a bit, do you mind if we could just swap? And I'll try yours side. So I went on his side, and he went on my side, you know. An hour later, he comes back and goes, how's it going, bro? It's been quite good, actually. Done a few books. Last guy gave 20 quid. He goes, you're not going to believe, bro. All the weirdos have gone onto that side of that. They've all crossed over onto the other side of that. So how people are reacting is because of how you're approaching them. So they're a mirror. They're a mirror of you, what you look like, what you sound like, what your intention to them feels like, how they're reacting to that. Do they warm up to you? Are they suspicious of you? That's because of the energy that you're putting out. So it's quite intense. It's quite intense, Sankirtan. It's like there was a film once. It was about a mirror, and anyone that looked in the mirror went insane because the mirror showed them what they really looked like. So, and when you saw what you really looked like, you knew that this is really what you did look like. You know, not just what your face looked like, but what you were really like deep down inside, you know. So when you saw the mirror, you realized, oh, I'm terrible. And then you go crazy, you know, like an intense ayahuasca experience or something, you know. So Sankirtan is you coming in contact with what you really look like by how they're reacting to you. But you can change. The great thing is you can change, you know. You can suddenly just become a really happy, light, well-intentioned, super sweet person. You can do that. You can actually just do that if you want. And although at first it seems a little bit unusual to be like that, after a while it starts feeling natural, you know, to do that. And if you're like that, then people will react in a nice way to you also. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was so charming. It was just so pure the way he reacted with everybody. People were just immediately enchanted by Prabhupada, you know. They didn't just give, you know, £1,000 or take a set of books or give something for the Krishna Eco Farm. They just said, can I give my life to you, please? That's how powerful Prabhupada was. Imagine if we could come back from Sankirtan. How do you do today? I made 10 people want to give their life to me. Oh, that's good. I only managed 9. Pretty good, Prabhu. Thank you. We'll be looking if we can do it with one our entire life, right? Prabhupada was just going out. He goes to Russia, walks across the square and bumps into somebody. I mean, the chances of, and that person he bumped into was responsible for the distribution of so much literature and so many people, thousands and thousands of people coming in contact with Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada just bumped into him, you know. And they were asking about, they're asking Shama Sundar about the Beatles, and then they went over to see Prabhupada in his room, you know, in the hotel. It was all like hush, hush, secret, KGB, watch out, look over your shoulder type thing, you know. And then from that, so we maybe can't be like Prabhupada, but we can follow in Prabhupada's footsteps and become, to some degree, as well-intentioned. The Srila Prabhupada's intention was to come over and give us the most amazing thing, you know, to free us from all our suffering once and for all. And we can only repay Srila Prabhupada for that by trying to do the same to help others, you know. If you don't go out and do it, then how many people would have come in contact that won't come in contact, you know. I was out with one devotee once and he got upset because he wanted to go somewhere where there were students, and where we went, I said, it's too late now, we can't drive back to the university, you'll have to just do the city center, you know. And he was so upset that he didn't do anything all day. So because he couldn't go where he wanted, he decided he wouldn't do any. And I was thinking that is such a weight of responsibility on our shoulders that if we don't show up and we don't do that, then all those people that we could have come in contact with don't get that chance, you know. So we should reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada and try to do that and feel that weight of responsibility, you know. We, to some degree or other, are aware now of the truth, and people are suffering like crazy because they don't have the truth. You know, all the mental health issues, they reckon if you boil it right down, you know, all the mental health issues are due to the underlying problem with all mental health issues is because people don't feel like they were given enough love in the first place. And then that creates so much instability, feeling of inadequacy, and insecurity. That was all there because they were brought up in an environment where they weren't shown sufficient love at some point in their lives, you know. So when we become devotees, we get to contact the powerhouse of love. Krishna is the source of all living relationships. Everyone's really looking for that living relationship with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, and we're in contact with that. And we just need to share that with everybody we come in contact with. Okay, any last questions or comments? Everyone okay with that? So we'll keep you posted on when and how and who with. We'll have to work out vehicles and drivers and stuff like that. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. That's the Weekend Warrior. We can discuss the practicalities with Prabhupada, how we can do it. In Budapest, there's one devotee there, and he finds it hard to approach people with books. So he has books with him, and he does kirtan, and then the devotees distribute round him. And Gauramani was telling me, the town president in Budapest, that the devotees always do a lot better if there's Harinam going on in the background, you know, because it creates a nice atmosphere. Everyone just seems to soften up and go along with it, you know. Creates a good environment. So he doesn't do so many books himself. He does a few books himself. He has books by the side of his harmonium. A few people come over and take them. But he helps with the devotees. You know? So we work as a team, and we can't do it on our own. We need everybody. The word Sangha is interesting because Anga is limb. So when you're in a spiritual team, we're all intimately connected. You know, like can you imagine if one of your limbs is not working properly? And you say, oh, what's wrong with the arm? Or it keeps twitching. Or chop it off. I haven't got time to mess about with the arm. Just stick it in the bin. Let's get on and do a bit of Sankirtan. I've only got one arm, that's okay. We can do it with one arm. But because it's an anchor, then the whole body is going to suffer if that part of the body is ailing. So when we come together to cooperate like this and assist each other, then we help, you know. We all have our weaknesses and we all have our strengths. So we try to complement each other. And we go out as a team. That's what Prabhupada wanted. He wanted his cooperation. Whereas in other mats, it's more, we're just going to do our bhajan, we're going to look after our little temple, and we'll just do our little thing, you know. But if we learn this sort of cooperation, then everything is a lot more powerful. And Maya tries to break that cooperation down by creating schisms and factions and different attitudes. And all it does is it just slows the preaching down. It just means not as many people get as many books. That's all it really boils down to, you know. Jai, okay. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Christmas Marathon ki jai. Distributing millions of Veda literatures ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Haribol. Thank you. All of you.